like almost done with season 2.
Okay, if we keep the Padre game on, are you going to pay attention to the podcast, Brandon?
I always do.
Are you going to get to... No, never.
That's not 100% accurate.
Dude, you always get distracted as hell. I can't get my chair
I
comfortable.
always do. Name the last time I was distracted in the podcast. Clippers playoff game and we were recording.
Every
of course,
time,
I was
dude.
going to be more focused on that than I was on this.
You're distracted every time.
No, never.
Every goddamn time.
This is tough. This is stress pitches right here. It's like 6 pitches in a row.
This is what I was talking about. You got to pay attention.
I was paying attention to what you were saying.
Brandon, we've been recording for 55 seconds.
I know you're recording, but we're not. This isn't like official
know.
material recording.
When I hit the record button, I just let it run.
Yeah, but then you edit the shit out of it.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. You will never know.
Why not?
Well, because you're here and you don't listen to the full podcast.
That's
and
right.
they're there and they don't listen to the live podcast. So it's like, I could cut out whatever.
You could just do whatever you want.
I can make you say whatever you want.
This is your baby.
You could be saying anything right now.
Splicing things up.
Yeah. I mean, you cuss enough in it as is, so like
I don't think I actually cuss though. I think you just add that all in there. You just like cut it in there.
I will say these past couple weeks you've been very limited on your curse words.
That's right. That's how I do.
That's how we do.
That's how I do.
What it do, baby?
What it do?
It's the greatest video, great response to anything.
And he's like rolling a J too.
It's just
That's
so
the
hype.
best part.
It's just so
Got
hype,
him.
you know. What it do, baby?
Fucking still just hanging in
Oh, I
there.
thought he fucking struck out finally.
No.
He fouled it off.
I keep thinking he did too, and then it's like, oh, pass me a new ball.
All right, when Lucchese strikes Turner out, we'll start the show. So let's get this going. There we go. Got him.
What it do, baby?
Got him, coach. What it do, baby? All right, let's do this.
Boys, let's get to it.
Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Lights, camera, action.
What's up, everybody? Three Amigos and a Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. I think this is Episode 58.
59? 50, 60.
60. Oh, shit, Episode 60.
60.
Dang,
Nice.
dude. Hit another milestone.
Dude, we're going to be up to 100 soon.
It's going to be crazy.
Are we going to do anything for the 100?
I mean, what do you want to do?
It'll be like a month before the 2-year.
Will you do a 2-year teaser?
2-year teaser.
100?
It's the warm-up. You know how like in a season finale of like a TV show, like the episode right before it sometimes is better than the actual season finale?
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. All right. I'm really interested to see what our little brother podcast, the All Bad podcast, is going to do for their 1 year. I think they're coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, we're going to have to swing by
Make an
and see
appearance.
whatever they're going to do. They seem like the type that will go all out, though. For the
but
all bad.
they'll go all out and it'll be all bad.
Yeah,
They'll have
that's
no
right.
control over it, and they'll be like, "What was that? Is
Yeah,
that even a
what was that?"
podcast?" And they're already on the rocks, so
And
they'll
then they're
probably
gonna-
break up from there, and
then they're gonna green screen, like they're gonna simulcast it, where they're gonna put like the video in there,
yeah,
and they're gonna green screen other people like they actually showed up for the.
that's probably more or less how it's going to be.
I
I
see
think that's
that.
what Philly Phil does for all of his Instagram videos. He's like, "Look
Yo.
at this! Look at this party bus full of women," and it's just like a
Yo.
green screen, like bunch of Instagram models on there. He's in his room. That's good. I'm just kidding, Philly. Not that he's listening, but Enrique will probably tell on us.
Yeah, you'll relay the message.
He'll relay and be like, "Oh, they were talking shit about you." Philly ENT killing the game, all on all social media platforms. Now it won't sound like I'm talking shit about him because
Now you're promoting him.
Yeah, now I promoted him, so I should get a cut of his next event.
That's right.
But how you guys doing? We had some fun what was it, Friday?
Friday.
Last Friday.
It's crazy. That's a week ago.
Yeah,
Seemed like longer.
it did.
Yeah, it did.
It was fun though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of struggling the next day.
Oh, I for sure was.
It was a little struggle bus.
I went to the Padre game the next day, and so you go to a Padre game, you got to drink.
Hair of the dog.
Yep, so I definitely heard the dog.
Yeah, I did the same thing. So for everyone listening, last Friday, Sarah took her final, so we had a little party afterwards, and we were all drinking over here, and played some tic-tac-toe flip cup. That was pretty fun.
That's right. That series went the distance too.
Yeah, but me and Chris, Michelle's new boyfriend, pulled it out.
Like boyfriend?
And boyfriend. Yeah, I think official. All I know, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but all I know is that he gave her the garage door opener because she parks her garage door in the garage.
Oh,
things are
getting serious,
what did I say?
man.
Garage door in the garage.
She parks her car in the garage door.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, that's pretty serious, dude. I don't know. So, but yeah, shout out Chris. Took home the title.
If he's
Not only are you guys heating up, but so is Chris and Michelle.
Ooh, that was a little punny.
Thanks. I tried.
Little beer pong joke in there.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, that was a fun time. It was a good little thing. After that, on Saturday, it was my coworker's housewarming. So he told me that it was going to be his housewarming party, right? And I knew that he's been engaged for a little bit. But he's like, oh, it's our housewarming party. We bought a house a couple months ago. It's finally ready. So we're going to have everybody over. So show up with Sarah, and it's like, welcome to his name's we call him Romo, and I think her name's Jess. It's like Romo and Jess engagement party. She's like, this is an engagement party? Why don't you tell me? It's like, I didn't know. He said housewarming. Like, I didn't know. So we weren't really dressed up very well, but I will say this was the most Pinterest thing I've ever been to.
like, what do you mean?
Like, think Pinterest. Like, you know how it's,
All
Pinterest party,
crafty
like crafty, pink, like all these fancy things. It was just like that. All the people there were like Pinterest people. They're all like pretty people dressed up all nice and stuff. And we're like, what the hell?
Pinterest
But
people.
it was really funny. There's this one dude that was super fucked up, and he would not stop dancing. Like, he was just dancing
That's
by
what people
himself
do, man.
in front of everyone. Just no shame. It was crazy. But yeah, how was your guys' weekends?
Right.
It was good. I swam a little bit on.
You swam?
Did.
Where at?
My house.
At the pool?
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude. That's
Good for
amazing.
you.
Thanks.
Sorry, when you said swam, you're just not. I don't feel like you're a big water guy.
I love the water. I like the ocean.
Do you?
Yeah. I love the ocean.
I didn't know that.
I like some snorkeling. I don't like our beaches.
Oh, okay.
Like, they're not very clear. You can't see a lot of stuff.
They are really dirty beaches.
Yeah.
I will say that, and I'll agree.
So, and like pools, like I don't really get up in arms about pools. Like, they're fine and all. I mean, if it's hot, like, it's refreshing, but like, I don't like go out of my way to like seek pools, things like that.
Do you guys prefer hot or cold weather?
I like hot weather.
Like, if it was like like super hot, like
I don't
this
know. I
past
feel like
week.
it's indifferent in San Diego. Like, we don't really have extremely hot or extremely cold. So,
But just like
there's times where it's really hot here.
Yeah.
I've always said that like, I mean, I prefer cold because I can put on a jacket. Like, as far as like comfort level goes, but like nobody likes it when it's cold out.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think I prefer it when it's hot, just because I really just don't do good in the cold.
I hate cold.
I hate layers.
Yeah, I like to.
I definitely like warmer weather. Like, I mean, who doesn't like warmer weather?
Of course, yeah.
I just mean like in the difference between hot and cold, like when it's like 110 degrees out versus like, when we're in Indiana
110 is brutal.
I mean, like in San Diego, obviously, like you said, like
anything from like
anything
from like
it's
90 to
95,
somewhere in that range.
I'd say like 87 to 95, or like 45
high
to
80s,
45 to 60.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
definitely
like,
the
I
warmer.
would prefer that over.
Yeah,
You gotta remember, Shaylee and I vacation in the most drastic weather climates of all time. So like when we're not in negative 30 degree weather in Indiana, we're in 103 degree weather in Florida.
Yeah, I just mean like San Diego, hot or cold.
Yeah, hot.
dude.
Fuck everywhere else.
Florida 103's got to feel like 120
so
or something.
terrible.
I don't mind it.
How could you take your shirt off? Like, I feel like it'd be stuck to me.
Yeah,
I
so
prefer
humid?
like the humidity versus the dry heat. I
Do
don't.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
I prefer dry heat.
Dry
over,
heat all day.
Yeah.
I like the moisture in the air.
Oh,
I know it's like they're both
It's-
uncomfortable,
yeah.
but like with dry heat, like I get more bloody noses and
Nice.
I'll take bloody. I get crazy bloody noses too, but I'll take bloody noses over freaking not being able to lift my arm up because my armpits are stuck together.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll take dry heat for sure.
But Brandon, like you said, you went to the Padre game. What else you do?
Yeah.
How was the game?
Dude, that was honestly, outside of our opening day game, it was the best game I've been to all year. We showed up. I saw another Tatis home run. I think I'm just good luck for the dude because he's went yard in like 3 of the 5 games I've been to this year.
Was that the one that Hosmer homered twice in? Was that Saturday game?
No,
Or
I think Tatis was the only one to go deep in that game.
That was,
but
yeah.
he had like a 2-run shot, and we won like 5-1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, we showed out. We actually had pretty decent seats. I bought them in advance on StubHub, and
that was against the Giants, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a sold out crowd. Paid like $80. I was in section 121, I think it was.
Nice.
So I was in like right field, lower level. Pretty good seats. Gave
Very
out the
nice.
chicken bobbleheads. I was telling Dean before the podcast. I sold those bobbleheads that I got on on eBay. Made $45
Dude, every
on them.
time this guy's just
I
bragging
literally
about money.
before he said it, I knew he was going to tell me he sold
I
it.
know he wants to brag about it, but it's like, come on, man.
What?
It's not pertinent information.
I would've
Why isn't
kept
that? No, that means I barely paid any money to go to this game.
I would have kept it.
Would you?
Woo!
Yeah.
Well, I sold 2 of them, and I found one, and I sold that one too.
Yeah, I would.
That just shows you how valuable these things
I
were.
would have kept one.
Yeah.
I probably would have just kept mine.
No, selling it. I'd rather
Sell.
get my money back.
Flip it.
So I barely paid any money to go to the game. That was awesome. But
Dude,
Well, it
we're
sounds
gonna
like that
find
was
out
the
in, like,
highlight
10
of the
years-
game.
We're gonna find out in 10 years of Brandon's like on extreme hoarders. Like he's just all these fucking like dollar bills in his house.
No. What was that one where they went to like storage units?
storage units.
Like they went to like abandoned storage units and like.
He's got like his old mattress. Like, oh, I've had it on Craigslist for 2 years, and I haven't had a
man.
bidder.
Gotta get your hustle on. Gotta make that extra $1.
Yeah,
But,
man. And it's funny, like he's saying he made all this extra money this weekend, but he showed up empty-handed.
Yo, chill. No, yeah, it was a good time, man. Drink full bottle there. The San Diego Chicken's pretty funny. He was entertaining.
They did a little interview with him before the game too.
Saw
Apparently, the story behind it was like marketing group was like, we need to reinvent like our brand or our image or whatever. And they went to San Diego State with a chicken costume, and they were trying to find a student that would wear the costume for free. Like they were just like, went around a bunch of people like, hey, we'll give you free Padre tickets if you wear this chicken outfit. And I guess one kid was like, hell yeah, you give me free tickets, I'll wear this every game. So then he became
only at San Diego State.
Yeah, he became like the San Diego Chicken, and then like worked out a deal to get like lifelong or like season tickets. Like once he retired as a Chicken, all that stuff. I was like, it's a good come up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do it though.
Why? I mean, you gotta have the personality to pull it off, but
I don't feel like it's my personality.
Yeah, it's definitely not my personality. But like, if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to do it?" I would probably be like, "Sure, why not? I'll get free tickets to the game."
I don't know. Would you do it, right?
I don't know. I'm indifferent.
I don't think because it's like.
Like, are you talking about?
I mean, if you're talking about leveraging free tickets out of it, like, yeah, obviously that'd play a factor. And like in the moment, if they ask me, like, "Oh, if you wear this, you can get free Padre tickets," I'd be like, "Yeah." But I mean,
and then it depends on if you're like, if they're expecting you to do what they expected this guy to do, where he was the halftime entertainment for the thing. Like if you were just going around the ballpark like high fiving people, that would be. I would do it for sure. But if you're like,
well, I guess
hey,
that's
I
how
want
it
you
started out.
I want you to choreograph a full dance like that. You're going to entertain everybody in the halftime or the mid inning.
This a little too far.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's what the chicken does. That's why I'm like thinking
now,
into the
role.
role.
Like back then, it was just like walk around the stadium and give high fives and stuff like that. But I don't know. Even still, I'd be like, I'd just be like, nah, I don't want to.
Be hot in there.
Yeah, I think I'm all right. But all right. Well, fuck it. Anything else you guys got?
Nope. There's a lot of sports I want to talk about.
Let's move into some sports. So first, I want to start off. So we're gonna get into baseball, but first, I want to get into the Atlantic League. Like, we've talked about the Atlantic League a little bit before, so everyone that doesn't know, it's like a separate entity of Major League, but they're like the equivalent of, what would you say, like AA, AAA?
Less than that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just an open market.
Yeah.
But they seem to be doing a lot of testing for like MLB rules and stuff like that. Like they did the robot umpire, all that kind of stuff. So they implemented some rules. They put in larger bases, which I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But
Well, I guess the guys are going to steal more bases because they have less distance to go between bases.
But even still, I mean, yeah, I guess
That's like really the only
that'd be
thing
the
I
only
can think
thing,
of. Like, okay, there's those close plays where his hand's just barely missing the bag and
Yeah.
he'd be touching it then normally.
That's true. The second one that they implemented was when a batter's up, if a pitcher throws a wild pitch on any count, they can take off to first base.
Yeah.
If you want. Which
That's like-
which sounds kind of ridiculous.
You know what it is? They're trying to reward the speedy guys who can't hit. That's
Yeah.
what it sounds like.
But it's just like that was another interesting rule.
Yeah, that was the steal first base thing. Is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
I saw like that.
Yeah. The next one was they banned the shift, so you can't shift there. Which I thought that was. I mean, that's a kind of a weird one.
That one's debatable. Yeah, that one's kind of
And then
more of a hot topic.
The other one is if you check. I don't know if this one's 100%. I just saw like the header on it, but if you check swing a pitch, they can't call it a strike.
I don't like that one.
I don't know
one
if that
just
one's
seems like that one's going to be.
They're all stupid.
I don't know if they're all stupid,
all
right?
stupid.
Like to me, when I read this list, like
It
this
sounds
just
like
sound-
nothing I'd ever want to watch.
it just sounds like a bunch of people were stoned when they made
Yeah.
this list.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, how funny would it be if we just made the bases a little bit bigger?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And there's all those times where the ball hits off the bag too, and you're like, you're going to be dealing with that too.
or like the wild pitch thing.
The wild
Like-
pitching's like
It
That just sounds so-
Yeah.
Like I
they're
don't know,
just
what are you
playing
trying
with
to do?
the rules too much, and you know what it is I feel like baseball's insecure with where they're at with their younger
Well, it's not
crowd.
baseball. It's
I think
this
it's
one
all
league.
of sports. I don't know. I feel like all of sports are a little insecure about how they're
For sure.
handling
It's
things.
experimental. I get
Yeah.
it, but like that's dumb.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny, so I wanted to add a little light before we get into the serious business
The business.
of this crazy MLB trade deadline.
Yeah, so much for a dull trade deadline.
Yeah,
The
that-
most moves in July, and this was the most moves on the last day of the trade deadline.
you know what was funny is I saw so many moves come in like that were announced like right after the deadline passed. Did you notice
there
that
was
too?
too much process. Like the freaking, I'm so happy I'm not a blogger or like an analyst or
Yeah, there's
something
so
like
much
that.
information to process.
So much, your phone's just blowing up, and especially on the East Coast, it was like,
And then what's crap
you know
and
what I
what's
mean?
reality?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of conversations that go on that don't amount to anything. Like take Noah Syndergaard for instance. Like they were interviewing, or not interviewing, but somebody close to Preller was saying like, yeah, those trade talks stopped on Monday. Like it wasn't happening. Like,
I read that article.
Their
I feel
asking
like-
price was too high, and we said no.
I feel like they rely heavily on each team's beat writer. Like,
Mhm.
was it Dennis Lin is like our guy? You know,
Yeah.
like those are the guys that like the Adrian Wojnarowski of baseball, whoever that would be, Buster Olney or whoever that would be.
I forget who it was. It was like,
But those would be the guys who are just like calling into all these beat
yeah.
writers. Like,
I saw it on
yo,
Twitter.
what's the inside scoop on this?
I think his name's like Adrian Passan or something like that.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, everyone calls it a Woj bomb. We should call these Passan gas,
Yeah.
like passing gas. And I was like, oh, that's
God,
funny.
pass on gas.
come on. But yeah, no, I definitely think that it was a lot of the talks on that last week were trying to manifest something because it had been so slow for so long.
Well, and
Yeah,
it
I feel-
really,
yeah.
it seemed like there was a lot of good moves that happened. You know, like as far as like solidifying bullpens, you saw that with the Braves, you saw it with the A's. But like, I mean, I still am trying to figure out like what the hell the Reds are doing and what the hell the Mets are doing.
Those are
I
two
agree.
teams going into this year that didn't seem like they had a good direction with where their ball club was going. Yeah, to me, it reminded me a little bit of what the Padres tried to do a few years back, where they tried to go all in when the team wasn't really primed to go all in.
The one difference, though, and I agree with what you're saying. Like the Padres, once they realized it wasn't working, sold
Yes,
at the trade deadline.
100%.
And to me, it like from an organization, like you see where you're at and you see what you're competing against, and I don't understand how the Reds and Mets see themselves as contenders right now.
Yeah, I agree. And, speaking of the Reds, the Padres were involved in that trade with the Reds, Indians, and Padres. Padres send Franmil and Logan Allen to the Indians. The Indians send Trevor Bauer to the Reds. The Reds send Trammell to us.
The Indians got like three prospects, or I guess you'd say two like official prospects, and then three major league ready players.
They got two stud corner outfielders and a pitcher that's got some prospects.
Couple decent.
They had one that was stud, and then one that was like killing it in the minors. Victor Nova has been doing really well for us.
But
this
I
year.
think it was
or did.
I don't know. This trade was interesting to me, not like from the Reds and the Indian side, because the Indians, it's like that's your ace. You don't have your division solidified, so it's kind of interesting.
He's not
to
their
me.
ace.
Kluber's
definitely.
I would say he's their ace. Bauer's been their ace this year,
and Bieber's been killing it.
But I'm just saying, like, because Kluber isn't back yet.
So he's
not really their ace.
Except for the year?
He's not out for the year.
Or he's on 60-day DL, and anytime that's like
they expect him to come back, but
he'll probably come back right before postseason. But yeah,
I just think it's interesting that it's like a team that's trying to make a push in a time where starters and bullpen is so heavily prevails. Like I don't know. For me, it was just an interesting move on
the thing with these moves are that doesn't push the Indians into contention for a World Series. It might solidify their representation from their division because they're definitely struggling with hitting as far as like their outfielders go. So it helps kind of solidify their offense more. But like you're saying, if the goal is to get to a World Series, like you need those top of the end pitchers to get you there. No, I don't think that these moves help solidify them as a World Series contender by any means, but I do think it helps push them over the edge a little bit with the Twins.
I actually really like this move for the Indians. I don't know if it, like you said, puts them as a World Series contender, but I think it's a good move. You get Logan Allen, who's a top 100 prospect. He's a young, controllable arm who has some upside. And then their problem has been they just don't have any outfielders, and they got two of them who are proven power hitters in the big league level.
But Puig's a rental.
I mean, still they're still trying to win this year, and he's still a good outfielder right now.
That's my biggest gripe with the Indians in this aspect is that, I mean, maybe there's some internal issues there with Bauer. I mean, you kind of saw him lose his shit and throw the ball over the fence, and Terry Francona had some skeptical words about him after the game.
I'm not gonna lie, that was extremely impressive, though.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed.
I was like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I would. Hey, all I got to say is, if we had him on our team, I would welcome him on our team.
No, he's a good player. So the trade was very confusing on multiple ends because he's basically, for the Reds, they have him for a year and a half before he's due for a massive contract.
Yeah.
He definitely solidifies the Indians' rotation. They're struggling for outfielders. With Puig, I understand why there was as many prospects given to them in this trade because he's a one-year rental. Like, you can't just take on this player and give up your ace essentially for nothing back at that point. Like, if it was just going to be Yasiel Puig, like he's a half a year rental is all he is. So I as I was kind of like looking at this deal as it was going down, it didn't make sense at first, but then I realized that Puig was on a 1-year deal still. So
yeah,
I mean, to each their own on like where you think each team lies in this. I definitely am confused with what the Reds are doing.
Yeah, the Reds are the one team I look at and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You definitely lost this trade.
I feel like both, like the Padres and and I know we'll get a little heavier into what the Padres did here, but the Padres definitely didn't lose this trade. Yeah. If anybody did, it was the Reds.
I know that the Reds are sitting back in the division right now in the NL Central, but I still feel like that's kind of one that's up in the air. Like that's a division in my eyes.
Comparative
to
our division, certainly.
Or I mean, even other divisions, I feel like it's. I don't know. I feel like they could still make a push. They
got to make a really strong.
I don't know how many games.
You said this for a few weeks, and like my biggest.
How many games out are they? Do you know?
They're 7.5 games, but they're the teams that are above them are the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals, who all have like way better teams than
Yeah, I just don't look at them.
The only reason that it's
I
competitive,
I didn't know that they were that far out.
yeah, but like even
Well,
seven
and a half's not that.
Seven
That's
and
attainable.
a half is not bad, but the only reason that it's that close is because the Brewers, Cubs, and Cardinals are beating up on each other. That's literally the only reason. I mean, there hasn't been a team that's solidified themselves as the front runner in that division because they keep like splitting series here and there.
And they're all good.
They're all just that good.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't understand. Like, you don't have this season. Like you're not getting there this year. Trevor Bauer's not going to put you into that.
So you're banking. You're giving up a top 30 prospect in Trammell or
who was a
Trammell
top 10 prospect at the beginning of the year.
At one point, yeah, and you gave him up for essentially next year of Kluber Bauer, hoping that he pans out and that the team starts clicking next year.
And that you can re-sign him. That's an if too.
Yeah, well, they'll have him next year, but
I mean, they're
hoping they can re-sign him, I guess. Yeah. That would help. That would actually make it not as bad of a trade if they were able to do that.
To me, like there's buyers at the deadline, people that are willing to give up prospects, give up cash, give up whatever they have to go out and get players to help them win now. Then there's teams that are giving up on the season and basically need to look towards the future, and that's the time where you can sell your best players for some of the better prospects. And to me, like the Reds should not have been buyers at this deadline. Like you don't give up your best prospect to get a pitcher who's not going to solidify. I mean, and we're talking about next year, maybe they can be a playoff contending team next year. It's like I still don't see them being better than the Brewers, the Cubs, or the Cardinals next year. Not with those rosters.
I feel like the focus was with their ownership where it was, we want to sell tickets and we want to be a relevant team because we've been a really bad team for several years. And maybe if we got a good starter,
but even with a starting pitcher, it's like he's only pitching every 5 games.
I know. I agree.
He doesn't sell more tickets.
No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying, but like, there's some times where the owner steps in and is like, "Hey, I want you to secure this guy because I want us to win a couple more games this year. I don't care what it costs us, but I want him." And I know we've all said this, where owners just need to like hire the right general manager, put the right people in place, and for them to make the right decisions going forward, and not for the owner to intervene and make those kind of calls. And that's the only thing that I can think that would make the Reds feel like, hey, you know what, we should spend a bunch of money and trade some prospects to get a solid starter right now.
Yeah, very confusing. But the other team that did it was the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets was a very interesting,
mind you, they
trade for me.
They didn't give up a lot to get him. They gave up 2 good prospects, not 2 great prospects, but they gave up 2 pitching prospects for a team that already has a very dominant starting rotation.
But you wanna run the trade by for the listeners so that way they can...
Yeah, I don't remember the exact names.
They traded Claudio Vargas. I remember that. And I remember just thinking when that trade went down that Noah Syndergaard was for sure not getting traded because they weren't going to unload that many arms.
Yeah, I know it was a.
You're talking about Vargas, or are you talking about the
Vargas? They traded Vargas, right? And then they traded somebody. They traded for like a solid starting pitcher too. Before the trade deadline date.
You're talking about Marcus Stroman.
Stroman, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, but we want to run the trade by so that way, I mean, it doesn't hurt for...
Yeah, let's see if we can find... I'm trying to look it up right now, but of course everything isn't like...
Simeon, Woods, Richardson, and Anthony Kay.
Which none of those are top 100 prospects.
And that's what I was saying, is that they didn't, like... And that's kind of why I didn't mention the names, is because they're good prospects, but they're not top prospects by any means. So I don't hate acquiring Stroman... but it seems like a buyer's move because you could have given up a Syndergaard. Obviously, the asking price was too high. It just doesn't seem like the Mets know what they're doing is all.
That wasn't like, I mean, I felt like they won that trade, but I just don't know if that aligns with what the strategy of that ball club is going forward.
Yeah.
I felt like they didn't give up a whole lot to get I think Stroman's a solid starting pitcher, and they gave up some prospects that were not highly regarded, not highly touted. I just don't know what the Blue Jays were doing on that trade.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
I think the Mets and the Reds are kind of in that same, ballpark in the sense of like
And the
you
Mets
guys
are
are
closer. I mean, in the wild card at least.
Yeah, but it's like you guys are still kind of a far push out that you could have gone either way, and it's just interesting that you're trying to really go for it now. In a sense of like it's a little bit.
Well, not
too
only
late.
that, it really killed their leverage for negotiation with Noah Syndergaard. Like if you're looking at that, you're like Stroman he's not quite an all-star caliber pitcher, but he's a tier below that.
Yeah.
If you're giving up only like 3 prospects who aren't top 100, they aren't super highly regarded. What is a guy of Noah Syndergaard who's struggling this year? How much more is he worth than that? So what are you going to give up 1 or maybe 2 top 100 prospects for him?
Yeah.
It seemed like they could have gotten more if they didn't kill their leverage. Not only that, they at that point were like, okay, we gotta unload Syndergaard, which they ended up giving up Vargas for just about nothing too.
Mm-hmm.
He was an all-star this year.
He was an all-star,
Yeah.
Stroman.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what even furthers my point though.
He's a good pitcher. I think he's been sub 3 on his ERA.
He's pitching real well for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I just feel like if I'm the Blue Jays, I'm asking more.
That's
So-
100%, and that's why it's hard for me to say that they're total losers.
No,
on this
I don't think
trade,
the
or
Mets. I'm just confused as to what their game plan
Yes,
is.
definitely. 100%.
Yeah, like what are your moves going forward?
Because
And I feel like the Reds are in
It's
that
not
same
in line
boat.
with their strategy.
The other aspect of that is, okay, you're giving up 2 pitching prospects. You don't need a better starting rotation. That's not your issue. Your starting rotation's been fine. You had a Cy Young winner last year for a.
You need bat help.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I
And
kind of
bullpen.
I'm confused. You know, what's the game plan here, guys?
Yeah, I don't know. But, well, before we talk about the Padres in that deal, I just want to bring up the Yankees.
They stood pat, man.
Stood pat, didn't make any moves, and they caught a lot of like noise for it. And they were just like, a lot of people were like, I can't believe they're big losers in this because they didn't make any moves. But in my eyes, it's like I don't feel like they needed to make a lot of moves.
No, I'm totally with you on this one.
You know, it's like a lot of people were giving them shit for not going after Greinke, but it's like Greinke had that no trade. Or like, you know what I mean?
He
Like
wasn't
the no
gonna go
trade
there
list.
anyways.
Like the Yankees were on his list, so he's like, I'm not going.
He's like an antisocial guy, and he wants to go to small market clubs, and
But it was just, I don't know. So for me, I was okay with the Yankees not making any moves. You know,
I just don't think that there was much that they needed to do. Yeah, they could have solidified their starting rotation, but their starting rotation has just been shit lately.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been a year long. I mean, the way that ESPN has made them is like they're 3rd place in this division. They're still 7 games up in 1st place. Their starting pitching has had a bad month for sure, but they still have arguably the best bullpen in baseball.
This could be a little bit of like, you know, we really wanted the Yankees to be active at the deadline because we would have more to report, but we don't.
Yeah.
It could easily be a case of that scenario, but honestly, the Yankees are positioned for the most part to be a World Series contender, and adding an extra piece would really push them over the top.
But
and I think that's what they're saying.
I just don't feel like that piece was necessary. Especially they made moves with DJ LeMahieu like earlier in the month or like last month, I guess it was.
Well, he's got an injury. They've
but
been
you know
just
what I mean? Like
hit
it was
heavy
still
with the
like
injury bug.
it was still just like, okay, we've made the moves that we wanted to make.
Well,
and
I
we've
think
done
there's
it quietly.
there's no argument in standing pat with what your current roster is. I'm a
especially
full
if you're
believer
winning.
in that. I don't believe. I mean, people are like kind of harping on the Dodgers for not going out and like making more moves, and it's like, what's to argue?
Well, they got Jed Jerko.
Yeah, I mean, like a big move.
No, I know what you're saying. I was just
Jed jerk off. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to touch on that because it was just interesting to me that they were getting so much grief for not making a move.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I
Like,
mean, you can even go back and argue, like, you know, some of the best starting rotations in baseball, like, you know, with the Braves back in the 90s. You know, they only won 1 World Series.
The thing is the Yankees don't have to go all in for this year. They really don't. They're in a position where they have so much young talent on that team that they have cost control players for years that maybe they just didn't feel like, hey, you know what? I feel like we're 1 player away from for sure pushing us over the top.
Well, especially because I feel like last season they made so many bullpen moves. Like they made so many moves at the trade deadline to bolster up their bullpen that this year they're kind of like, look, that didn't work for us last year. We still have a lot of those guys. We don't need to continue to add to it. So let's just keep it moving. And like you said, Ryan, they're like 7 games up in that division, so
it seems unnecessary to overspend. My other like big thing with it, like, you know, talking back about like good pitching rotations, is that all it takes is the Yankees bats to get hot, and a good starting rotation means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're
if we're talking about the
could be the lead,
the Astros and the Yankees in a World Series, like you can't sit here and tell me just because they have a good starting rotation that makes them surefire favorites above the Yankees. Yeah. Like because the Yankees bats could get hot and your starting rotation means nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are arguments that are made at the end of October, but I mean, it's a wait and see game. But with the addition of Greinke to the Astros starting lineup, yeah, they're going to win a lot of regular season games. But you're not throwing, Gerrit, Cole, Justin Verlander, Greinke for every single playoff game. There's other guys that are going to have to get in there.
They usually do, though. For the most part, it's usually a 3-man rotation in the postseason. Just because they have those extra day offs and they don't usually extend the bullpen. They run that bullpen deep.
I would say if they meet them early enough, it's definitely not going to be a 3-person rotation.
The first series would be a 3-man.
Yeah,
rotation.
No, always. That's a five game series.
The second one
in the 5-game series, yeah. But I'm not imagining with both those teams being in first and second place that they're meeting in the first round. Yeah. So in a 7 series rotate or 7-game series, I mean, you're going to have to throw somebody else out there. But aside from that, you look at players that have really good starting or teams that have really good starting rotations, like the Dodgers, who haven't been able to put anything out there as far as a World Series championship. It doesn't concern me by not having a good starting pitching rotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, that was really weird.
Yeah, it was
like the TV glitch. But yeah, well, I guess let's talk about this Padre deal. Like we mentioned, Padres are involved with that 3-team deal. Sent Reyes and Logan Allen to the Indians. They received
Taylor
Trammell from the Reds.
I'm gonna call him Trammell until somebody tells me otherwise.
I like Trammell. Just stick with Trammell. He's weirdo.
I mean, just say it right. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he's got to. Once he gets his big league call up and they call him Trammell, I'll start calling him Trammell.
All right, fine. Taylor
Trammell. The dude's from Georgia, so like, I mean.
You gotta say it like.
Well, anyways,
say it like molasses.
Regardless, we've seen the highlights from this guy. He looks pretty good.
I'm just gonna give my opinion. And then I'll let you guys get into like the stats and those kind of things. Just face value right off the bat. It was very sad to see Franmil Reyes leave. He seemed like a person that really kind of grew on the Padres fans.
He's a fan favorite.
Gotta let him go, Brandon. Gotta let him get his thought out.
Like he was a fan favorite. It was really sad to see him leave, especially in a culture now where the Padres, they seem different in the sense of everybody's hyping each other up. It's more of a brotherhood, not so much as like a job and a paycheck anymore. And then also, it's hard to say that it's a clear win for us in the sense of, this kid's still in AA ball. We have we have a logjam in the outfield. We've been saying that for a while. 2, the kid hasn't been killing it in AA ball. You know what I mean? It's hard to see him coming up in the next, year, 2 years kind of thing.
Well, he's supposed to be up next year.
So
So my one gripe that I've been trying not to pick with everybody is that if you look back at players that have struggled in AA, because it's a big jump going from single A to AA, but the biggest culprit was Fernando Tatis. He was terrible in AA. Like, he struggled hard, and then he got hurt, and we didn't see him, and now he's in the major leagues. So that doesn't concern me as much as, like what the player provides or what like the potential that they could provide. Yeah. And I actually agree with Brandon in that sense. He's a guy that I see up next year. I with no doubt see him up next year.
And like my last piece was just, overall evaluation of the trade straight off the bat is initially I think the Padres look like losers in this trade. Only because we're going to lose more games the rest of the season without Reyes and Logan Allen on our team than if we had them on our team. And it's just like Brandon was saying with Mejia, nothing's proven yet, so there's no benchmark.
Statistically, the Padres won't lose any more games with Franmil Reyes out of the lineup. Statistically.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason is because his on-base percentage with runners in scoring position, the amount of home runs he's hit without runners on base, and the amount of runs he gives up defensively. Mm-hmm. The dude has like a .1 WAR for, Mr. Brandon, who's,
he's statistically his power numbers, his bat is among the best. So like he's a good hitter. But
so I will say that initially off the bat, my first reaction was, damn it. And after, and I texted you guys the same thing. I was more upset that we traded the person than the player.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's no reason for Franmil Reyes to be in the National League. He doesn't have a position. He can't play defense. He can't. And we give up a lot more runs with him defensively. But anytime, you give up that kind of player who's good in the locker room, he's good with the fans, he helps for attendance, he's a power hitter, which isn't something the Padres have had a lot of over the years, it's sad to see him go. And as far as the logjam goes, we have a logjam of corner outfielders. And Trammell's expected to be a center fielder. I feel like he might be more comfortable in left field, but he's expected to be a center fielder. Also, he brings us to, at least from just looking at what he's got going on right now, the dude doesn't strike out, which is something that our offense needs a lot of. And somebody that doesn't strike out, and he gets on base. So I feel like with the emergence of the power that Fernando Tatis is having, we saw Hunter Renfroe hit his 30th home run, Machado, they're all big power bats. Will Myers, if he can ever get his shit together. It was an unnecessary entity that the Padres had. And like I said, sad to see him go. I do feel like they might have paid a little bit too much, but I also feel like as Padre fans, we've come accustomed to questioning trades, but Preller hasn't done anything since trading away all the players that he went out and traded our prospects for initially that I would question. There hasn't been a move that hasn't panned out to be unsuccessful yet. We still have some question marks, like you said with Mejia, but to this point, I don't have distrust in what he sees in a player.
I agree. Before I ask you if it's a win or loss, I want to get Brandon's opinion on the trade, and then we'll come back.
I mean, straight off the bat, I'm with you guys. I love Franmil. I think he's a tremendous value to this ball club, and his power, his ability to, be a good influence in the locker room. I think that's invaluable and something that I think we're gonna miss certainly going forward. I mean, the dude loved playing here. He had a San Diego Padres tattoo on his chest and stuff, and that just shows how much his love for the fan base here. And it's a bummer that he's going to be going, but he's going to go to a playoff contending team, so he's off to bigger and better things. So that's sad, but
plus, like you said, Ryan, I think everybody he's an American League player. He's a player that needs the DH slot,
and that's the thing that kind of bugged me a little bit about this trade is that we're seeing it with the American League getting the DH is helping them out, and it's hurting us in the National League, and it just drives me nuts that we do it in one league and not in the other, and it just needs consistency on both sides. But that's a different discussion. Yeah. But giving up Logan Allen, that was tough. I felt like we pulled the plug on him a little early. This is just my initial thoughts, And then after I've done a little bit of research on this guy, I'm pretty impressed with the stuff that this guy can do.
Yeah.
And his ability. We've been needing a left-handed bat in our lineup. We don't have that. Outside of Hosmer, everybody's a righty. Mejia's a switch hitter, but outside of that, everybody else it's a right-hand dominant lineup. And so we needed a speedy
Makes it easier to pitch against.
Yeah, certainly. So you have all the righties out there are just going to be owning our lineup. Most of the rotations have right-hand dominant lineup or rotations, but finally gonna have some speed in the outfield. He can get on base. I mean, his numbers, his batting average is crap, but he's got a 340 on base percentage, which is really good, which would probably rank second on our team right now.
Yeah.
And he's got. I mean, I wouldn't classify him as a power hitter, even though he's scouted as having decent power.
He's got plus side power.
Yeah, he's got plus side power, certainly. And
not somebody that Franmil Reyes where he's going to hit
Franmil's going to
35, 40 home runs.
However many home runs Franmil hit this year, was it 24, 27? Somewhere in that range, yeah. I think that would be a career high for what this guy's probably going to offer in the bigs at some point. But his speed, his ability to play center field, him being a left-handed bat, I think that's something this ball club needed. I think Preller knew that. He was going after left-handed bats, and I think he pulled the trigger. We did pay a lot to get him, I think, but he was a top 10 prospect going into the year. He's now currently 30th because he's not having a stellar year, which if you're a top 10 prospect, you better be having a stellar year in the minors because they rank you heavily off of your numbers in the minors.
Yeah.
And
So overall win-loss, what's your opinion?
I know.
Don't say draw.
It's tough for me to make a decision on this because we gave up two things. We gave up a proven bat with lots of years of control in Franmil Reyes, and we gave up a top 100 prospect to go upgrade to a top 100 prospect. But based off our positional needs and where this ball club is, I would probably say it's the right thing for our ball club. So I'd say it would have to be a win.
Yeah,
I think it's a win.
Yeah.
I think definitely everything Brandon brought up is spot on. And at the end of the day, if you take the players' names out of the situation, you gave up a designated hitter and a potential number 5 starter. So, I mean, I think Brandon's higher on I know Brandon's higher on Logan Allen than I am, but ever since he got into the majors, he has done nothing but fall down that top 100 list to the point where, I mean, I'm not saying he can't have a successful major league career, but if there's one thing we have a ton of in our farm system already, it's left-handed pitchers.
Yes,
and
a shit ton of those.
We, Morahan, I know they've brought him up and let him pitch a little bit here. We
He's
have
good.
Weathers down there, who obviously is several years away, but Mackenzie Gore, Lucchese, Lauer. I mean, there's
Patino,
the righty.
No, but I'm just saying, stud pitchers that we have in the minors.
So
he had a great outing that last one. Yeah.
He had a perfect game going to the 6th.
Yeah, I'm okay with giving up Logan Allen because I feel like he's going to continue to fall down that prospect poll, especially going to the American League where they're it's dominantly power right-handed hitters. So he's going to struggle a little bit. Also, looking at the parks that, aside from Colorado, the Padres play in a lot of pitcher-friendly parks. You look at the Giant Stadium, you look at Dodger Stadium. Aside from the Diamondbacks and the Rockies, there's not a whole lot of hitter-friendly parks in the National League. So I don't foresee him being as successful as maybe whoever's making these top 100 lists are. So I think it's a win for now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys are saying, and I've seen the numbers on Trammell, and I've seen the potential that he has. Literally, I'm just calling it more on the loss side just because of MLB ready players that we had given
immediate
up.
return on investment.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think
it's literally I just literally called it a loss because I didn't want to have the argument with Brandon again about Mejia.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he called Mejia a loss, it's got it. This one's gotta be a loss.
No,
too.
and I totally respect
we haven't seen Trammell play yet.
Yeah. And
exactly, which makes it more of a loss.
The one,
no,
I mean, you could have said the same thing about Tatis if you wanted to. You gave up a major league.
No, you could have. I'm just going with that same process.
I actually went through and read some old posts. It was on Reddit. It was people going back and looking at the responses of trading Shields for Tatis, and every Padre fan was like, "I don't understand why we couldn't trade for major league ready players." Everybody was pissed off that we got this dude. So. I mean, until you can see the production on the field, it's hard to say whether it's a win or a loss.
If we're going back to Mejia, bringing him back from the dead.
The one thing that Padre fans keep forgetting is that it was not Project 2019. It was always 2020. And so I feel like Preller stayed on that vision for trying to solidify his lineup for next year. Mm-hmm. And if Trammell's not ready, there's a couple decent, hitters that we could go after within the next year or so. I think Adam Eaton's a guy that you could potentially, go after if you need help in center field. But I really do strongly think that we were in a position where there's Hunter Renfroe or Franmil Reyes. You can't have them both out there at the same time. Mm-hmm. You lose too much in center field. And you've already seen it in this game alone with having Margot in center. He opens up Myers' range a little bit in left field. And that's where Myers is more comfortable. So I think that defensively our team's going to be better going forward. So it's just whether or not that our defense being better can accumulate some more wins.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to remember his name. The guy that we picked number 1 overall this year, who was that shortstop center field hybrid.
Abrams.
Yeah.
He's been killing it, man.
You guys see any conflict or any challenge between those two when he's ready to come up.
C.J. Abrams is 18 years old, so there's a 3-year gap.
Yeah.
C.J. Abrams is not going to be ready to play for a long time.
I know a long time, but I'm saying this kid still.
If he blazes it up,
he's like what 20, 21.
He'll be 22 next year.
If he blazes it up, it'll be a problem I'd be very happy to have.
Yeah,
and let's just put it that way.
C.J. Abrams was drafted as a shortstop.
Yeah,
he has the ability to play second base. He has the ability to play center field. So that doesn't concern me. That is a good problem to have going forward.
Yeah, he's got versatility is what it is, and that's what makes him so valuable. And obviously,
I agree. Anytime you have a couple top 100 prospects battling for the same position, it's a good thing.
But not even that, having the ability, and you've seen it like with players like Chris Bryant, who was drafted as a third baseman but has the ability to play left and right field. It opens up your lineup for when like injuries occur and things like that. So you don't have to take bats out of the lineup.
We saw it with Machado this year too.
Yeah. You can put bats into the lineup that are hot. With David Bodie is another example with the Cubs. Whenever he gets hot, they put him out there at third base or second base, and Chris Bryant plays in the outfield. So it's a good problem to have. I don't foresee that being an issue, especially since he can go from infield to outfield.
All right. And then last one quickly before we move on to some NFL news, just because, NFL started tonight. The Padres also traded away Brad Week for Carl Edwards Jr.
Yes.
I think we're all fans of this.
I am just ecstatic about this trade.
I didn't even think this was going to be a possibility. I love Carl Edwards Jr.
Yeah, he's a freaking
Hopefully
stud.
He's as good on the pitcher's mound as he is on the racetrack, is all I got to say.
Nice. His numbers are awful this year, but you look at his last 3 years with the Cubs have been stellar.
Even
numbers.
with his year being as bad as it is, he still sits at a 3.3 ERA for his career, and he's at a 5 right now.
And that for Wick, who has been just awful this year. God, he's just every time we put him in, I'm like, all right, let's just give him 3 runs and then let's advance to the next inning. Because this dude's got a 6 ERA or something like that in a solid sample size. It's not like he got lit up in his first start and he's trying to balance it out after that. It's 6 over 30 innings or something like that. Where you're like,
yeah. It's good enough to show that
it's good enough to show that
you're not on the up and up for his ERA climbing.
Yeah, you're not major league ready, certainly, and which to me didn't really make too much sense for the Cubs because I was looking at Edwards still has 3 years of team control. I'm guessing they must really like Brad Wick. That's the only thing that makes sense. Or Edwards was out of options.
Well, I just think I texted you guys. I thought it was kind of like how we all sat on Will Myers in the sense of listen, we're kind of done with him as a team. He's still a good option. I think he could go somewhere else and be good, but we're kind of done with him on our team.
Well, and I feel like they have a really good bullpen already.
That's what I mean. That's why I feel like it's he's not really doing anything for our bullpen, so we're going to send him down and just kind of sit him there.
I'm guessing he's out of minor league options, and they're like, okay, let's get something out of him as opposed to nothing. Yeah. And that's kind of that's the only thing that would make sense for me. They had a good trade too. They made another one. I'm trying to remember who they picked up, but they actually had a pretty solid trade. That I felt like they were buyers certainly on that trade that helped out the team. Can't remember off the top of my head, but
I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure they secured another either a rotation arm or reliever. I can't remember, but I remember thinking that was a good trade. Oh, we still got to talk Greinke. We never talked Greinke.
Oh, we didn't talk Greinke? We got. Oh yeah. Well, I guess we'll do Greinke now.
Yeah, you can just forget this whatever I was about to say.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said to open up the segment, this was the most moves on the last day of the trade deadline, and it was extremely quiet. Usually, you always have a big name that goes in the trade deadline, and there really wasn't any.
I felt like Bauer was the biggest name.
Yeah, Bauer was the biggest one, and even still, it was just kind of it felt empty in a sense. And then, lo and behold, the Astros decided to go after Greinke. I felt like the Dodgers didn't really get a huge haul in return. I don't know.
You mean the
the Diamondbacks? Sorry.
Diamondbacks,
yeah. I mean, I forget the exact specifics of it, but
they still did decent on the trade. I think they did a lot better than. They were basically willing to give up Greinke. Greinke was basically Will Myers for them. We just want out. We're going to rebuild. We want out from under this massive contract, and we don't care who wants to take on his contract because he's producing right now, but 4 years down the line when he's, a 36, 37-year-old pitcher, you're not going to want to pay him $30-40 million a year.
Yeah,
and that's what he's going to be making.
So this is the official deal. Greinke goes to Houston. In return, they get 4 minor league players: Corbin Martin, Bakakis, Seth Beer, Josh Rojas, and the Diamondbacks are going to cover 24 of the $77 million on his contract. So they ate a little bit of it. They got some, good minor league pieces in return.
They did decent, yeah. I mean, it wasn't certainly like a trade where you're looking for the Diamondbacks and like, yeah, this was
good for them.
Yeah,
this
they scored. Their
if anything, I think the Astros came out super clean on this one. I mean, their rotation is easily one of the toughest now.
It was the right
baseball.
move for them.
Yeah,
and he's producing right now, and yeah, maybe a couple of years down the line, you're gonna be like, I don't want Greinke in our rotation anymore. But
for the time being,
right now, when they're trying to win it all, their window's going to shrink because they're a small market club.
I think after they made this, Vegas odds went up 14-1 for them. They were tied with the Dodgers as World Series favorites. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it definitely moved the needle.
It was the right move for them.
Yeah,
it seemed like it. I mean, and I said it earlier about the Yankees and their high-powered offense, but I mean, the only way that the Astros are getting through that's with good pitching.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're not going to not that the Astros are a bad hitting team by any means. They're one of the best offenses in baseball, but
I'd rank Yankees above them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not going to out-hit the Yankees when it comes down to it. So, it's just solidifying your role as the top of that, the best pitching staff in the American League. But I feel like the same way. It was a good wash for both teams.
They're different markets, different ball clubs. They have to make different moves at the deadline because the Astros window's shrinking right now.
Yeah. I will say, though, I mean, it was nice to see, the consistency of a big name going during the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Just because it was kind of empty beforehand.
Yeah.
But, all right, yeah, I think that covers everything in baseball come trade deadline, so we'll see how the rest of the season finishes. We got some NFL stuff.
Which, by the way, we still need to do our predictions.
Oh, yeah.
We did that last year. You haven't done it yet.
We haven't done it yet. All right, well, we'll have to call Enrique to get his camera over so we can do our prediction.
Oh, we were talking about, Ryan, me and Dean were talking about hitting up BJ's one of these days. Maybe we'll do that the same day or something.
Sounds good.
You do it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, cool. But yeah, NFL. What do we got, Ryan?
So Michael Thomas, he signed a pretty big contract today.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was 5 years, $100 million is what it caps out at with, all the
bonuses
and all that stuff. I feel like this is something that the freaking Saints had to do.
Yeah, I mean, I love this move in the sense of he was like, hey, I'm going to hold out, and the Saints were like, okay, well, we're just going to pay you. Because I think didn't he set the record for most receptions over his first 3 seasons?
Yes, set the record for most receptions in the first 3 seasons. He has something like a 97% catch rate in fourth quarter or something like that, or whenever they're down. And he's averaging over 100 yards per game in playoff appearances. The dude does everything. I think he's in the top 3 in least dropped passes as well too. So he's a freaking machine. It's just funny to me how the Saints go from Brandon Cooks to second round wide receiver Michael Thomas, who ends up being arguably the best receiver in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But he's so important to what they do offensively, and I think that you can afford to pay him now, especially since Drew Brees he's not going to be able to play forever.
Mm-hmm.
So pay him while you can, while Drew Brees is still your starting quarterback and producing at a high level.
It can't hurt to have Drew Brees throwing you the ball too when you're signing that contract. I'll have Drew Brees throw me the ball for a couple more years.
Yeah. Well, it maximizes both players' abilities.
And I think it was a big contract. It was a big bag that he signed, but even still, it was worth it. He's worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
The other topic of discussion is Melvin Gordon, and it really, really bums me out. He asked for it, or his agent let the Chargers know that he's going to be asking for a trade.
Well, wasn't there something beforehand? They offered him 10, he wanted 13. They said no.
So basically what's out there right now, and I don't know the years, but he's asking for more than $10 million a year. So $10 million a year right now would put him as the 4th highest paid running back in the NFL. You got Todd Gurley, who's making 14, Le'Veon Bell 13, David Johnson 13. So the next one would be Devontae Freeman at 8. And I have no issue with Melvin Gordon wanting to get paid. None whatsoever. I feel like, as a running back position goes, you saw it last year with Le'Veon Bell. You're seeing it this year with Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon. As far as tiers go, I don't have him in that top tier with those 3 guys. As far as overall production goes, 1 is because of injury. 2 is because his argument that is being made is he's utilized more as just a running back. He catches the ball a lot out of the backfield, but you don't do that on a team without Phillip Rivers. So I have a hard time thinking that he's worth much more than $10 million. I mean, how far much, is up for debate. But remembering that Ezekiel Elliott has to get paid, and he probably deserves to be the highest paid running back in the NFL, I don't see him making more than David Johnson. So,
yeah.
Those guys are more proven.
Yeah.
And they've shown it over a sustainable period.
For me, I feel like he kind of has, he kind of has the upper hand in a sense with the Chargers. I know you, Ryan, you're a fan of, what's it, Josh Johnson?
Jackson.
Or Josh Jackson?
Justin Jackson.
Or Justin, sorry. Butchered the shit out of that name.
It's all good. JJ, it's all good.
Yeah, at a JJ in Eckler. But for me, it's like Gordon's proven that he can go 16 games. I feel like a full season.
He's not.
He's only done it once.
He's only done it once?
Only done it once.
No.
Last year he missed 4 games. 2017 is the only year he played all 16 games, which is the only year he's rushed for over 1,000 yards.
Well, that completely negates my point because I thought that he had a couple seasons. I thought last season was the only one that he didn't finish out.
He's getting a little greedy, it sounds like.
His first season was terrible. He rushed for 641 yards. He had 192 receiving yards. He didn't score a touchdown. So he came back with a vengeance. He missed, rushing for over 1,000 yards because he got hurt. But he was at 997. He put up over 1,000 total yards.
That's brutal. Just shy of 1,000.
I know. 12 touchdowns total. 12 touchdowns the next year. 14 touchdowns last year. So he does more than just run the ball, and I understand that. I really do. I agree with the charge in the standpoint that it's you're a running back. You only have X amount of years left, and you haven't shown the ability to stay healthy. And
that negates my point because I thought he had a couple seasons under his belt, and it's that's a hard thing to do for somebody that maintains a workload that he does.
The other aspect of this that I look at is that last year he had a great year as far as yards per carry, but he missed so many games.
Yeah. As
a whole, I mean, he's literally just at 4 yards a carry. But if you look at 2017, which was his best year, he rushed for 3.9, 3.9 the year before that, 3.5 the year before that. It's not outstanding production. It's good production. It's not bad. It's definitely second tier running back material, and he does provide a lot of versatility to that offense. But I said it before, you look at the running backs that are involved with a lot of these teams. Alvin Kamara's a great running back, but he's nothing without Drew Brees. You look at a player like Todd Gurley, who's just a do-it-all type back. But outside of that, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, is he as good as Ezekiel Elliott? No.
Yeah. I don't know. I was in the thought process of if he's asking for 12 or 13 a year, that's not that much more, and you could do, you know what I mean? As an organization, that's something that you can stretch a little bit, in my opinion, for a player like that. Just because also, I mean, I don't know how good Eckler is or JJ is in the sense of how well are they going to be able to move that offense that he does. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It seems like
it's a quarterback-driven league, and it seems like every year there's a new running back that comes in and lights the NFL on fire.
It looks like they'll be a lot thinner, certainly at running back, and that's one of the things that they've always had the injury, which is because of Melvin Gordon.
Well, and before that it was Ryan Matthews,
and it just seemed like they've always had to have a solid backup running back as well as a third-string running back to spell the backup because the first string was going to be out.
Yeah, and I just don't feel like the Chargers have that many years to really make a push, and Gordon gives them the best option to, make that playoff push.
And
so that's where I'm coming from in the sense of just pay him that little bit more.
I strongly disagree. Like, I know that like it's
They're
very
built
much
pretty
gonna
well right
it's
now.
very much gonna weigh on like what happens with Phillip Rivers and if they can get a successor in. But with the way that their defense is built and the way that their offense is built, most of their star players are within their first 2 to 3 years of being in the NFL. So I'm of the sense that you have to pay Joey Bosa next year, and you're probably going to have to pay him upwards of $90 million, and that's a guy that is much more important to the entire dynamic of your team.
What would you trade him for, though?
So with Melvin, like in the part where he literally has no leverage is because he's under team control for the next 3 years. He has absolutely no leverage in sitting out. So the Chargers can call his bluff for the next 3 years if they choose to. That's completely up to them. But as far as like what you're gonna get back, I mean, it would have to be a first or second round pick. Like,
you want picks, not a NFL player.
I mean, I don't see anything like as a glaring. I mean, unless you're trading for another running back. I mean.
Yeah, and no teams would do that. But
my biggest gripe is like you look at the teams and like they have the highest paid running backs. You see the Jets, you see the Cardinals, you see the Falcons, the Bills, and I'm negating the running backs that are under like high drafted running backs that are under rookie contracts. So Saquon Barkley's out of that. Jerick McKinnon, Lamar Miller, Giovanni Bernard. None of them are playoff teams. I mean, obviously, Gurley, like with the Rams, they're a playoff team, but nobody freaking knows what's going to happen with him this year. But outside of him, none of them are playoff teams. So I have a hard time believing that, paying that much more to a running back and not being able to pay your left tackles and your guards is going to help you continue to win in the future. So I feel like for both sides, it's almost fair enough to just trade him, let him go make his money. But, I mean, to whom? I'm not sure. I mean, maybe a team. I
don't know.
The Seahawks. I mean, I would not the Seahawks.
I saw like the one thing that came out from like ESPN or NFL.com was like it was like a trade with the Dolphins for like Devontae Parker and some draft picks.
Yeah, that's stupid.
But I mean, like besides that, I haven't seen really anything.
I've seen a bunch of like fabricated trades, like, and I did see that one, and like the Padres need another, or the Chargers need another wide receiver, like they need a freaking hole in their head.
I saw Jadeveon Clowney as one. Would you do that?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But
like it's
that's
kinda,
what I was thinking too. I was like, that sounds like juicy to me.
It's questionable, like on one sense though, is that they're both players that are up for contract. So like you're swapping one situation for another one. And Jadeveon Clowney's argument is probably a greater one, is that the Texans want to pay him as a linebacker, and he sees himself as more than just a linebacker.
Yeah.
And the contract from a linebacker to a defensive end is much more immense.
Weren't they in the same draft class? He was number 1 overall that year?
I'm not sure.
Might have been. No. Like 2000.
Oh, yeah, they definitely are. They definitely are, because they're both up on their 5th-year rookie contract. Yeah, so they for sure are. It's a bummer, though. I do think the Chargers are a better team with Melvin Gordon. So I feel like if you can figure out a way to get this deal done, then do it. The only thing is, like, if your agent comes out and says he's demanding a trade, like, I don't see that as leverage. I see that as I want get me out. Like, I want to be done. So if that's the case, then get rid of the player. I mean, it's just going to be a cancer in the locker room. But I mean, if there's a deal that can be done, then make it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's paying him. I mean, I'm cool with giving the dude $12 million. I feel like that is completely fair. I mean, $2 million is not going to make or break your budget at all. Like, I mean, we're talking about, I can't remember what the cap is, like $179 million from Rivers, who has never been paid the highest in NFL history. Yeah. I mean,
I heard he was willing to take a pay cut too.
Yeah. And Rivers was getting a bunch of shit because he was like, they were interviewing him and he basically said, like, we're just focusing on the guys that are here right now, like, very Rivers-esque. And then everybody was like, oh, see, Rivers doesn't even value Melvin Gordon. I was like, how did you gather that from that sentence?
Plus, what do you want him to say?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I hate when they do that, where they take like a sound bit and they take it out of context and then just like
or not out of context, but just interpret it in a way that it's
yeah.
like, what do you want him to say in that sense? Like, no, he needs to get his ass here. Like, take the money we're offering you and get your ass on the field, or we need to pay him.
Like, and like Melvin Gordon came out and said, like, every person in that locker room supports what he's doing. Like, I mean, I support what he's doing. I really do think that it's important for running backs as a whole to start to solidify themselves as valuable pieces for the short career that they have. Mm-hmm. I do think that they need to take better care of these players for as the amount of work that is given to them and handed to them literally game in and game out.
Yeah.
Like, but when you look at just where the bar is set right now, I don't want the Chargers to buy into that. I don't want them to be the ones that are setting the bar, setting the example, because that's not going to pay off for the next few years.
Yeah,
so all those years with Adrian Peterson getting like $20 million a year.
Well, and exactly,
and
Adrian,
the Vikings didn't do.
They didn't do shit. I mean, there's no statistic out there that shows that a Pro Bowl running back is gonna solidify you as a Super Bowl contending team.
You're starting to sound like Jerry Jones.
I mean,
he did say that.
He did say that.
I mean, but
it's a true statement.
I think even
that's
Emmitt Smith, like Emmitt Smith had Troy Aikman, he had Michael Irvin, he had Deion Sanders. Like, I mean, it was built more around than just Emmitt Smith and what he provided.
Yeah.
And with all the rules and regulations in the game, like the value of the running back is just shot to hell.
Well, they're all specialized now too, for the most part. I mean, you can get the guy who goes every down, but I mean, you almost get the same value out of a guy who can just do one thing really well and just have those three guys rotate in.
I honestly understand why teams just do split backs now, because it's like you don't want to overvalue one player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, because then you're going to be in this situation where you have Todd Gurley who's asking for close to $15 million a year, and now the Rams are in a situation where they're not going to be able to pay anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Melvin Gordon, and I really hope he gets paid. I mean, I hope the Chargers are the one that pays him, but if it's not, like, there's no love lost there. I don't disrespect the player for going out and trying to get what he thinks he deserves.
100%.
So, I mean, it's not a bashing Melvin Gordon thing. I just feel like if what his agent's saying is true, and it's not them trying to fabricate a story to get to leverage a contract, then trade the guy. Get find a deal, get some pieces back that are going to help you win. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And hopefully, I mean, he gets his money from somewhere, and hopefully they can reach a deal. And they don't try to screw him and franchise tag him.
Yeah, I mean, and like basically, Telesco came out and told the agent flat out, like, dude, Melvin Gordon's family. Like, I'm not going to give you permission to go like search for a trade.
Yeah,
because that's what the agent asked for. He said, I'm gonna, I want to go out there and try to find a trade for him. He's like, no, we want to get a deal done. So I have hopes that this could work. I don't feel like it's too far lost, but I really hate when the agents start pushing the envelope with the media and start utilizing that as their their bait. Like, all right, we're gonna tell everybody that he's demanding a trade, because they even asked Anthony Lynn at practice today, and he's like, I talked to him last week, and he said nothing about demanding a trade. Yeah. So it's all tough.
Yeah, but then we had Zeke. Come on.
Was that Will Smith?
Yeah, he had a grand slam.
Dude, this fucking guy. Every time. It's going to be on ESPN all night.
Freaking DJ too. Wing enter.
Yeah, dude. Wish they would have gotten rid of that guy.
Yeah. Add him to the mix.
Yeah, add him. Just include him in that Carl Edwards deal, dude. Just throw him in there for some.
This dude hits a freaking game, or not game winning, but like a home run to put his team ahead every time he hits a home run.
I don't know how that ball got out. It looked like a pop-up to center field.
Just kept carrying.
God damn it.
Dude, Luke Casey's fucking pissed right now, too, because those are all runs on his head.
Yep.
Damn, dude.
You look like you got way underneath that. How did that get out?
He even thought it was a pop fly.
Fucking damn it.
That barely cleared, too.
Oh,
damn,
man.
Luke Casey's heartbroken. That sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had Melvin Gordon holding out. Michael Thomas was holding out. He got his deal. And then we also have Ezekiel Elliott holding out.
Yeah, no news on that one yet. I don't see him demanding a trade.
He's just in Cabo.
He's also I saw that.
He's just chilling, riding jet skis.
Yeah, I think his is funny, though, because he got drafted the year after Melvin Gordon. So, like, he's, like, still on contract right now.
Yeah.
I was like, well, what are you doing?
Like, you have no basis to really hold out. Like, you really don't.
And, like, they can't. That's the whole luxury of, like, the first-round pick is, like, it's an extension on their deal. Like, you know, you get that one bonus year to figure it out. It's like, he's in a position where he can negotiate, but it's like, he's like, ooh, I'm on a 1-year deal? Nope, I'm not going there. I'm not fucking risking it.
Well, I just thought it was funny, too. He, like, showed his hand in an ultimate Jerry Jones move, just being like, hey, man, you don't want to show up? Fuck you. We don't need you. We'll figure it out then.
I feel like Jerry Jones is the type that would just splurge and just say, screw it, I'll pay you.
Well, I think it'll get to a point, but I think, like, straight
I'm
off the bat, he's like...
I'm wondering what Zeke's asking for.
Me too.
Because, like, it's got to be more than what freaking Gurley's making.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's got to be something ridiculous.
Imagine what Saquon's going to get.
Fucking nothing if they don't, like, get a team put together.
Seriously.
No, they'll pay him a bunch of money and they just won't have anybody else around him.
He'll get to that 5th year and be like, I'm talking to you guys. Fuck this. You guys drafted a quarterback from Duke.
God.
He's like, they're one bad year away from being a freaking double or a, what do you call it? D2 school.
Yeah. Dude, I saw on Instagram, it was like, what's the kid's name that they drafted?
Daniel Jones.
It was like Daniel Jones' first pass in preseason. It was an incomplete pass near nobody. You're like, bright future.
Man,
I was like, oh, it's messed up.
Yeah. I feel bad for that dude. I hope he's
successful.
Yeah,
I hope he's successful. I hate talking shit about players that, like, you know, I mean, good for him going so high in the draft. Like, that's incredible.
But he's got to earn it.
Yeah.
he's got to earn it.
Yeah.
Like, if he doesn't have a good career, it's not going to be like, oh, this was such a bust. I'm going to be like, oh, that's not a fucking shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Hard Knocks starts next week. That's following the Raiders. Did you hear what John Gruden said?
No.
He said, this Nathan Peterman's starting to rub off on me. So we could be seeing some more Nathan Peterman next season in the NFL.
John Gruden is like the Donald Trump
Look
of
at
the
that
NFL.
smile on your face. You know the Chargers got an easy 2 wins next year.
No, not saying that ever. But like John Gruden says some shit where I'm just like, what reality show are you on? Well, now he's on fucking Hard Knocks, so...
I mean, he was even the one that he was like gung-ho when Peterman was coming into the league. He was the one that was like, this guy deserves to go in the first round, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he said really good things about Blake Bortles, too.
Yeah, so this was like his guy, and now he's got him again, and he's like, this guy's rubbing off on me. Love this kid. It's like, have you not seen anything?
I can't. I really hope he, like, beats out Derek Carr for that spot. That'd be amazing.
Oh, man.
This has just gone from bad to
This
worse.
just got terrible.
Dude, Wingunter sucks, dude.
Dude, he gives up
At least get that out there. Thank God.
Yeah.
A merciful out.
gives up the grand slam, then walks a dude.
And then lets off an RBI double.
Like, at some point, you don't fucking pull him. I don't know.
This one, it was like he hit the grand slam. He was kind of like, I don't care. We lost this game.
Yeah.
Fucking Andy Greene. Dirtbag. Well, I got stat of the day.
Yeah, Ryan, you got stat of the day. Go ahead and give it to us.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, dabba-dooba-doo, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that what? Stat of the day. Bop.
You know, since we had the Hall of Fame game today, I thought I'd, mention a Hall of Famer and some interesting names that are brought up in the same conversation.
All right.
So in the Super Bowl era, we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that have won back-to-back Super Bowls with 2 different teams.
Okay.
So, Deion Sanders, he won it with the Cowboys, and he won it with the 49ers in the 90s. We have LeGarrette Blount, who won it Patriots and Eagles, as well as Chris Young. He was also on both those teams.
There's also that linebacker that was like Patriots and some, I forget who. No?
Mm-mm. Ross Hodgson, Buccaneers in 2002, Patriots in 2003. Derek Martin, Packers and Giants, and Brandon Browner with the Seahawks and the Patriots. I just gotta be cool. I mean, we talked about it with the guy from in the NBA who won back-to-back.
Quinn.
Yeah. And
that was back-to-back?
Yeah, back-to-back.
Oh, back-to-back. Oh, that's
back-to-back
my fault.
Yeah, not just 2 Super Bowls.
Sorry, I thought you were meaning
with
2
different
Super
teams.
Bowls.
Yeah, championships.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back Super Bowls, 2 different teams.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just luck of the draw, but I mean, LeGarrette Blount definitely had a huge factor in both of those. Chris Long, terrific player.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's been 6 of them though. To be honest,
they brought it up on the radio. They asked about who did it in the '90s, and I was like, in my head, I was like answering these questions like, "Ooh, I think it's Deion Sanders," and it was, and I was like, "All right." And then went through and they were kind of like briefly talking about who another one could have been, and there was no other ones in the '90s, but. Then I went and looked up how many times it's happened, and I was like, "Damn, 6? That's actually a lot."
Yeah. Who was the last one?
That was Brandon Browner. He was a cornerback with the Seahawks.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I remember him. He's like not doing good at all.
No, he's terrible now, but he's a lot older.
No,
too.
I'm talking about like he's like in prison, about to go on like death row bad.
Oh, what?
Oh, what?
Yeah,
what did he do?
I can't remember what it is. He's like in prison and he's not doing good in prison.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not doing good at all.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazier than the stat.
Yeah.
It's like eye-opening. Damn, dude, that's pretty crazy. But of that list, it was only...
you seen it?
He got 8 years for attempted murder.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Fucking get 8 years for attempted murder is because it didn't work?
Yeah, right?
Like, what the hell?
Is that why it's an attempt?
Oh, my God.
Damn, dude, that's crazy. But yeah, so of that list, it was Deion that's in the hall. Anybody else? No, huh? Anybody else that was potentially going to go?
To what?
In the Hall of Fame from that 6.
No. Just Deion.
Just Deion?
Just Deion.
Anybody that you could see going?
No.
I don't see it either.
No.
It's kind of like a random luck thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just like, I don't know.
You weren't really like the stud. You were just like filling a good piece.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking up the story now. It's crazy.
What's the story?
Told you, the Browner story?
He broke into his ex-girlfriend's house, and he allegedly threatened to kill her, and her 2 kids were in the same room when he did it. And he was arrested multiple times before that as well. They don't say what those ones were involving, but he pled to no contest to 1 account of attempted murder and 2 counts of willful child endangerment.
Dude.
Yeah, he's...
that's no joke.
The only reason why I remember
this...
It's
not funny. I'm just like, oh my God.
The only reason why I remember this is because I really wanted the Chargers to sign him like a long time ago. I was like, this dude's a freaking stud. We got to get him.
Yeah, he's like a 6'4" corner.
And then he literally, like, after he left the Seahawks, his value just plummeted. Like, he was a big part of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
Dude. That dude got busted. He got popped for a lot of PEDs for sure. He's like, he came out of like the CFL league, and then he came to the NFL, and then he was killing with the Seahawks, and then I think
killing it. Ha! Poor choice of words, Brandon.
Poor choice.
Poor choice of words. Let her go.
Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Oh my God. Damn, it's crazy to see some of this. I mean, obviously, fucking what's the name? Hernandez.
Yeah, that was...
But this...
Aaron Hernandez.
Holy
shit.
Damn. Well, all right, everybody. We are 3 Amigos and a podcast. Follow us under 3A anywhere you listen to podcasts, and, tell somebody about us. That's your homework for the week. But yeah, we'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys.
Later.